panagdait sa tanan. Now, I am going to discuss to you the chapter 5 of the content of this course or this subject entitled Freedom of the Human Person. In this topic or in this chapter, I am going to tackle four subtopics. First is about human person in the context of his condition. Second is about free will. Third is human freedom in existentialist philosophy. Fourth is God and human freedom, or it is the Christian philosophy of human freedom. Let's start and let's spend your time in listening to this. Now, let's talk about human person in the context of his or her condition. Now, let's try to understand the meaning of human condition. So, human condition. Before tayo proceed sa freedom or free will, start first understand this human condition. Human condition observes and embraces the totality of human nature. Human condition means the state of being human, how man exists and lives distinctively as a human being. So it is the human condition, the way we live our life as a human person or as a human being. The human condition requires not only an understanding of the state of being human, but also the meaning of being human. Now the question is, what is the meaning of being human? Diba? It is it is stated previously that the human condition is to live not only to live the state of being human, but to understand the meaning of being human. The term meaning, when applied to human existence, means the sense, purpose, and direction of human life. So, talking about meaning is all about the sense, purpose, and direction. So, remember that meaning is all about the sense, the purpose, and the direction. So, it means that the meaning of being human is to understand the sense, the purpose, and direction of human life. Second question is that in what way can man realize that his life has a sense, purpose, and direction? To be in position of meaning in existing as man should ground himself in his humanness, or we call it pagkatao. The meaning of human existence can never be found outside of the humanity of man. So man should be a human. But how? Man's experience of existing and living as man is the indispensable ground where man can discover the meaning of his existence. So to put it simply, the meaning of being human, or the sense, the purpose, and direction of human life, can be truly understood in the experience of man of existing and living as a human person in his humanness or in his pagkatao. So masabtan nato ang ato ang tinud nga meaning sa ato ang kinabuhi sa atong life kung atong puy-an ang ato ang kinabuhi as a man. So na diha kung atong sabton kung gusto mo sabton nato then puy imong kinabuhi og tarong as a tawo. That's our condition. That's the meaning of being human. Now, human condition means realizing the state of being human and finding the meaning of existence as a man. Realizing the state of being human and finding the meaning of existence as man. Now, you might wonder in term na existence. So maybe some of you is curious about this. Unsa gini existence, sir? Now, to understand it profoundly and deeply, talking about existence, we'll be talking on the meaning of existentialism. Okay. Tao siya nag-wonder siya, where am I going? What am I doing? What is the meaning of life? It's all about existentialism. Existentialism is derived from the term existence. The term existence comes from the Latin word existere, which means to stand out, to emerge, or to come out from. Literally, existentialism emphasizes standing out, coming out, and emergence from what is actually given. So, that is the literal definition of existentialism, or the origin of the word of existentialism. Now, existentialism stresses the difference between existing and living. As I have mentioned earlier, that the human condition is about about living and existing. Living one's life is to assume a life that has no vitality, no responsibility, and no self-consciousness. So, to live our bag, okay na ni, yan ang life. Diba sa kan, famous line na to ng student, okay ra, okay ra basta, okay na eh, importante makapasa. Okay ra na importante buhi. So, that is one way of living life. No responsibility, no self-consciousness, no vitality. Importante, buhi. That is living life is all about. To the existentialist, man must not only live, but also exist. Talking about existence, man should exist so that man can stand out, can emerge, and can assert himself despite all sorts of predicaments, problems, and frustrations in life. So again, man must not only live, but also to exist. In other words, to find meaning in his very existence. So the existence of man is not only on more on happiness, enjoyments, but there are some problems, crises, frustrations, and that is the reality of life. That what makes life more balanced. Problems, enjoyment, tulingan ang life. That's it. That is our existence. So man, the focal point in existentialism. Existentialism takes man as the center or focus of attention. So because it attributes to the following points. Now, my dear students, the main point of existentialism is to understand and to help help some individuals, or help, or to help all people to have an authentic life, an authentic existence. So authentic life or authentic existence, mo dyan na ang center, mo dyan na ang gusto sa existentialism. So kinsa may makakuha ng authentic life, wala lain kundi ang man, ang human person. So first, man is a subject. He is neither an object nor a means to be used, but a value in himself. So this is some kind of ethical consideration of existentialism, that man should not be treated as a means to achieve an end. Man should always be an end, not a means. So man should not be used as an object, but man should be valued. Should be valued. Man is a subject. So muna ha, naiusahay nga ang kita tao, kusog kita manggamit og tao. Kurang bito na tao para ato sa imong means or ways para ma-achieve na to ang ato ang gusto. But remember, man is always a subject. Man should always be an end, not a means. Do not treat man as an object. Second is, man is an initiator of action. He is creative, and only man can perform responsible and free acts. Next, man is the center of feelings and emotion. He has the power to feel not only the pain and pleasure, but also passions like hope, like love, hope, and fear, and among others. Man is self-related and other-related. It is some kind of complementary statement to this statement that no man is an island. Because man is self-related. We coexist to our fellow man. We are not alone, but we have somebody to lean on. Next is, man is capable of transcendence. Man can go beyond what is actually given. So, we are transcendental. Kabitang, aning kamo tag eskwela para mo transcend ta. Nga dili ta magpabilin kung kinsa lang ta or unsa lang ta. Munang manikamo ta because we want to transcend. We want to grow. We want to develop. Next is that man's existence is a thrown existence. Man is thrown to exist in himself and into the world. So in existentialism, existentialist philosophers are kanabang kuan term ilang kayang gigugol ang ilahang life, ang ilahang philosophy in this term, thrownness. So the term thrownness is so popular among existentialist philosophers. And this is a major theme. Thrown existence is a major theme in existentialism. That we are being thrown into this world. The term gilabay is negative ra ni term gilabay, but gibutang ta sa kalibutan, then gibiyaan ta. We are being iguro ta gibutang, gibiyaan ta. Then the moment nga gibutang daw ta sa kalibutan, di nag-start ang ato ang existence. Now, it is in us to drive ourselves and to act our free will. So it is us who is the master of ourselves. So from that moment that we are being thrown into this world, It is where that our existence started. So, kana bang ayaw mo kalibog, kay later on ako na siyang i-explain on the third subtopic. Next is that man exists in a body. Thus, man can only assert himself through the body, his own body. Next, man is intrinsically free. We are innately free. Man has to admit the fact of death, his own death. Since we are not immortal, so we have limitation, we have boundary, and that is death. This is part of our existence. Namamatay ta. And this is the last topic of our subject about death, about human death. Lastly, man is an open-minded entity. He's a bundle of complexities. He's a box of surprises. When in our previous topic, the first chapter of a book, Doing Philosophy, diba? I mentioned there that we cannot define human person. We cannot define man. Why? Because it if we define man, it means that we limit man, we limit the human person. Pero dili na siya malimit. Dili na to siya ma-put into boundary. Kay, as it is said, is a bundle of complexities. Is a box of surprises. Di ta maingon nga, ingana jud ka. Oh, mao na gid ka. Ingana jud ka, no. Di ba yun na nga, we can transcend. Wala pa tayo in point. Munang dili ta makabutang period sa tong life. Because life will continue as long as we strive to exist. As we strive to exist. Samtang maning kamot ta mga makapuyo nga mabuhi, dili pa na mao ang ato ang in-point. So that is the end of our topic, existentialism. So that is our human condition. The state of being man, and to understand or to find the meaning of being man. So that is our condition. So hope na masabtan to ninyo. Next is all about free will. It's mentioned earlier that man is intrinsically free. But the question is, are we truly free? Again na, we have free will and freedom. Free will is defined as to do either good or bad, and freedom is to do good. Now the question is, are we truly free? Free ba jud ta? Try to think. Are you truly free? The question is, answer is yes. It is true that we are natural libertarians. We are intrinsically free. We believe that we are acting out of our own free will. That we have freedom. We are free. But there are a lot of arguments, counter arguments, or mga opposition ani nga statement. Here I will present two arguments. And every argument has a lot of various responses. Kani nga problema, hanggang tubag, hanggang attempt, different authors, different philosophers, attempt to enlighten this. Now, para dili mo ma-appeal sa problema, okay, since this is just an introduction to philosophy of the human person ang nga subject, I will give you a response to give you some point of clarification and enlightenment. So first argument about human freedom. First argument is all about God and human freedom. Here is this, it is stated that man is not actually free because there is a God. If God is omniscient or all knowledgeable, all knowing, then we don't have freedom of decision to perform an action. It's because God knows, God is all knowledgeable, God is all knowing. Now, if God knows everything that will happen, then I do not have the freedom of decision to perform an action. It is because I will be forced to do it, to do an action because God's knowledge is perfect. So, since kay all-knowing ang Ginoo, knowledgeable ang Ginoo, so kahibalo na siya sa unsay gusto to baton before pa ta mibuhat ang nga action, kabalo na siya. And since kay iyang kuan, his knowledge is perfect. So ang ato dang nabuhat base ani nga argument is that base lang kung unsa iyang knowledge. So para sila ha, we don't have freedom because our action is naka-align raman sa unsay gusto or unsay nahibawan sa Ginoo. So ang atong kuan, although we claim that it is a product of our choice, although we claim that we are free agent, pero dili. It is because kana ato ang gibuhat, gisunod naman ta unsay gusto sa Ginoo. So that is the argument. That is the first argument. So response. I will give you a response from St. Augustine. Siya. Despite God's omniscience, we still do have freedom of decision. For if we do not, it would not make sense to conceive of God as punishing of wrongdoers. Sakto. Diba? God is not, although God is omniscient, but He is not a dictator. Wala siya mi-dictate sa to ang mo ni buhata kay mo ni akong gusto. Mo ni buhata kay mo ni akong naibawan. But no. Here we try to understand the concept of knowledge and causality. The knowledge of God will not push or force us to do the action. Nakabalo siya. Kabalo siya. Kasi is omniscient, is all-knowing. Pero, di na nakutob. It's because according to St. Augustine, gihatagan mo niyang free will. Gihatagan mo niyang free will. So, kana free will, mo na yung nag-cause na mabuhat ta og action. Nga maka-decide ta. Nga nakapahimo sa tuwa as a free agent. So that's the response. That is one of the response. Knowledge and causality. Ako lang niyang simplify ha. Ano siya? Although kabalo ang Ginoo, pero ang iyang knowledge walay kalabutan sa atong gibuhat. Kakita siya, nakabalo siya, pero wala na ming kumpil sa tuwa nga sa tuang action. Gets? Okay na siya. Pero if you want more enlightenment, you can search on this. You can cite some authors. Second argument, another argument is this: the argument of determinism. Determinism is the view that everything has been set up before human existence. So in this view is that hibawa na unsay pattern. Klaro na diha na ka padulong. Klaro na kayo. So before pa ta mixi sa kalibutan, through the pattern, masabta na, determined na kayo ato ang ato ang life. Why? If the world is deterministic, then our free will is a byproduct of the laws of nature. A determinate set of conditions can produce only one possible outcome given the fixed laws of nature. Now, determinism has two kinds. First is causal determinism. Causal determinism is incompatible with the notion of free will because it can undermine free choice. If past events will be revealed as the cause of future actions and not really chosen by the individual as a free agent. Now, let's take this example. Nayo sa kabata at young age, di nagbulag ang iyang parents. Dayon, both parents kay salikway sa iya ha. So wala na siya magpapa, wala na siya ginikanan. So iyang gibuhat kay naglaro siya, di nakita ko siya mga bata nga pareha niya nga sinalikway pod. So nagkauban sila, nagkagrupo sila. Without proper education or being uneducated, being ignorant of the world. So naka-experience sila galahay nga mga kuan. First naka-take sila og pagpangawat. Antod nga take sila og rugby, volkasil unsa man na diya, suyop sila. Antod nga take sila og marijuana, antod nga naka-take sila shabu, antod nga nakapatay sila. Nakapatay siya. Antod nga nakapatay siya. According to this view, in this causal determinism, katong moment nga nakapatay siya is not a product of his own decision. Dili siya free agent na. It's because it is causally determined. Kay sa pattern siyang life, determined na nga diha gikapadulong. So that's the view of determinism. Mabay na nga, according to them, it is unjust to judge him as guilty. It's because dili ito niya decision nga nakapatay siya. Kundi determined na to nga makapatay siya. So that's the view. Example, an example, mabagsak mo sa philosophy. Determined na. Joke na siya. Determined na. Makahuman mo og eskwela. It's not your choice. It's not a product of your decision, but determined na siya. Kinaning kamutan mo. Second kind is the physical determinism. Claims that since body is physical, every event involving the body is determined. Given a set of determinate conditions in the brain and the laws of nature, bodily movements are causally determined. So let's take this example. Sometimes makakita tao nga nagkalisod. Atong body kay mutabang dayon. The desert tong body kay mutabang dayon. For example, kita tagtiguwang nagkalisod kayo ug lakaw tungod kay daghan kay gidala na mga bag, daghan kay makarga, naglisod nag-hike, naglisod nagtabok sa kalsada. So para dili siya maliksan, dapat mapaspas yung lakaw niya. Malisod yung paspas ng lakaw kay daghan siya gikarga, kan siya gidala. Now, nakita nakakita ko. So kung ibuhat kay mitabang ko o dala sa iyang mga gamit para makatabok sa dalan. Now, according to this physical determinism, katong katong decision ako nga motabang, it's not my decision. Dili ko free agent ato. But it is physically determined. Because it is my mind who dictates me. So kung ing ana gali ang sitwasyon, ang condition na sa atong mind is that mo ni ang buhata. So dili na siya di na siya free condom para sila ha according to this view. So dili ta free agent na. But it is already determined. No. Remember, if human beings are determined, life seems to be futile or even absurd because they live to simply go with the flow, with what the law of nature dictates. Life is absurd. Life is futile. Ano mang na may absurdity of life? It's because we just live with the flow. Kung sabto na to kani nga view kani sa determinism. Okay, we are not free. We are not free here because everything is fully determined. So we don't have freedom. We don't have free will here. Because ano sila, ang law of nature may dictate sa tuwa. So we just go with the flow. So absurd yung life, futile yung life. Remember my dear students, ang fish nga musabay sa agos sa tubig kay patay. Ang isda nga musabay sa agos sa tubig kay patay na. So hinganay po itong life. If we just live with the flow, go with the flow lang ta, then mura na po patay. So batik ang ginabuhi, di ba? Kung atong sabto ni nga kuan. Next is that whatever action we choose is not really a choice, but it is what nature dictates. No human action is considered free or voluntary because every action is causally determined. Wala, we're not free here. It's not. Walay kuan, dili siya voluntary, dili ta free agent. Because determined na. Si maning baka Si maning baka sa picture. Either magi sa left or sa right. Determined naman yun nga. Dili na siya padulong. Slaughterhouse man siya padulong. Slaughterhouse. So, problema kayo. Ano yung argument nila? Try to think. Diba? Sakto po yung point. Napabi yung point. Pero, to give you some enlightenment, tagatang response to that. Some summarization sa mga various responses. So, look at the picture first, sa response. We are free to do anything we want to do. Still have freedom. Still have freedom of decision. Human beings have free will because we are responsible for our deliberate action. Always remember, my students, that freedom is always coupled with responsibility. Freedom is always coupled with responsibility. Kung naay freedom, nandiyan ay always responsibility. Because the only thing is that we are not free from the consequences of our actions. We held us liable or accountable in that. We should be responsible sa consequence of our action. And again, freedom is always coupled with responsibility. Again, we still have freedom, we still have free will. Despite the view of the determinism, we are not deterministic, we are not fully determined. We still have the freedom. So again, you can search various explanation of that. At pwede mo na Leibniz. Pwede mo search sa compatibilism or compatibilist view. Pwede mo search sa principle of alternative possibilities according sa Respana na are we totally free? Yes, we are free. But our freedom, our freedom, our free will is always coupled with responsibility. Now let's proceed on the third subtopic about human freedom in existentialist philosophy. Human freedom is also understood as autonomy in the existentialist philosophy, which means the state of so them the community siya able to direct our lives. So remember, as I mentioned earlier, that the main concern of existentialist philosophers or the main concern of existentialism is to help us understand what is authentic life, to help us understand to live an authentic existence. Now, through this freedom. Now, the full meaning and extent of the existentialist human freedom may be seen in the famous disagreement between two existentialist philosophers, namely Sartre and Marcel. So, dinin usabton ay human freedom in from this disagreement of the two philosophers. Now, the subject of their debate or the subject of their disagreement is this question: is true freedom or autonomy achieved in isolation from the community or in participation in it? So, asam gid ang freedom, through freedom or autonomy, through isolation or through participation. These two French philosophers, namely Jean-Paul Sartre and Gabriel Marcel. So, kanya sila may debate in their time. They are modern philosophers. So, in the 20th century, mo na sila. First, according to Jean-Paul Sartre, man is what he makes of himself. He believed that we are the master. We are the creator of our own self. Na daw nga, ato ang life is that kanang our existence is being thrown. So, di ba na-explain mo rin na siya nga. We are just being thrown man sa kalibutan. So, from that being thrown, so we are nothing. From that thrownness, we are nothing. So, ano siya nga, from that nothing, we should be something. We should find meaning. And that is existence. Since we are being thrown, so gibiya na ta after to get thrown. Dayon, di na nag-start ng existence. So, we are nothing na. We are nothing. But from that nothing, we should find to be something. Because we are the master of ourselves. Man is what he makes of himself. Ano siya? Hell is the other people. Hell is the other people. Because according to him, one's actions affect others. So others' actions would affect me. True. Kung mo to, wave of connections. Kung unsay action nako maka-affect sa imo. Unsay action nimo maka-affect sa ako. Reciprocal, di ba? Reciprocal. Try gali. Imagine this. Kung di ba, sa yung gi-explain o discuss atong talking about environment, different local environmental issues. Daghan kang i-present nga to. Katong gibuhat sa mga tao, do you think wala to naka-affect sa tuwa? Or kanang gibuhat nato nga kanang kuan palabay mga basura, improper disposal and segregation of waste. Do you think kita rin makapektuhan na? No. Dahang tao. Because one's action affect others. So others' actions would affect me. So muna yung view ni Jean Paul Sartre. So, asya nga, people's actions ultimately restrict us. Restrict us. So, asya nga, so true freedom entails finding ways to make others' actions not affect you. Since man is what he makes of himself, so we don't need others to help us in creating our own self. So to have authentic life, so mo isolate. According to him, it is in contradicting others that one finds herself to be truly free. But again, philosophy ni Jean Paul Sartre kay broad kaya na siya. But this is just kanang iyang philosophy about freedom. Dagan kasi major themes about sa iyang philosophy, but kanina akong ikuha so about human freedom. So we don't need others. Ito ba yang try to reflect and ponder upon this philosophy of Jean Paul Sartre. Oh. So, also my best way is to contradict them, is to isolate them, so that we will not be affected of their actions. This is life. So, authentic existence, authentic life can be achieved if we isolate from the community. And contradict, present po si Gabriel Marcel, siya no, that's wrong. Because one's essence is to coexist, or easy. One's essence is to coexist. We need others. We need the community. We need to participate in the community. It's because only when one engages with others in the community is one truly free or autonomous. Freedom, because freedom of the individual links with obligations in society. It's because it is the society, or it is the community who gives us the understanding of that true freedom or the true autonomy. And these obligations in the society ay dili siya dapat walaon nato. Di siya walaon. Because Gabriel Marcel believes that every individual or every human person has an obligation, particular obligation in the society. We have obligations. And to stop that obligation is to endanger the community, to put the community into danger. Muna nga, dapat siya, nga every man is connected with the community, is connected with the society. And it is in the community that man can realize true freedom, that man can achieve the authentic life, the authentic existence. So, di ba, it is through participation. But kang Sartre, no, it is through isolation. So, nga ni ang sila, yes, we have freedom, but in lahi ang ilahang pagsabot. To synthesize, according to the disagreement, that there is human freedom is out of the question. So, wala yung question ang kung na ba human freedom. Wait, naman, Jod. Because human freedom is viewed as valuable. The problem is, which means is effective to make it true or to preserve it. So which way is effective to make it true or to preserve it? So mo nang debate sila ha. Unsa mo gisakto nga pamagi? Is it through isolation or through participation? Which means, which way? Is one only is one truly free when she disregards others? Or is it when she considers others' point of view, for instance, that she is? So, muna debate sa existentialist philosopher. But again, there are many philosophers in existentialism. There are a lot of existentialist philosophers na si Karl Jaspers, na si Martin Heidegger, na si Søren Kierkegaard, daghan. Daghan kayo og kuan. Kan kayo yung mga existentialist philosophers na Albert Camus, at kanya to ang gikuha. At least na po mo'y mga taste ani. Now, let's proceed on the last sa topic about God and human freedom. God and human freedom. So this is some sort of Christian philosophy about freedom. Okay. Human condition and freedom. So man is free because God gives him freedom. Since it comes from God, therefore freedom is founded on the good. Freedom should always be attuned to the nature of man. Freedom should be personalized since it cannot be divorced from its impending responsibilities. That's why we are intrinsically free, and our freedom is always coupled with responsibility. Freedom is good, but sometimes it becomes bad. Because free will is embedded in freedom. According to St. Augustine, freedom itself makes man blind to its original essence which is goodness. Because of this free will. Because we can do what we want, we can do what we desire. Now, sometimes we become blinded. May mutang ignorante. Yes, I have freedom, so I can do what I want. It becomes not only constructive but also destructive. Sometimes, dili lang ka siya formative but destructive siya. Nga na ang freedom. Because too much exercising our freedom or being ignorant of our freedom might endanger us. Might put us into test. Sometimes, maligaw tag landas ba? Destructive na nung kaya siya. So there are kinds of freedom. First is freedom from physical constraints or force. It is exercised by brutes and ordinary animals. Second is freedom as one pleases. So connotes absolute freedom. But this kind of freedom is exercised only by immature individuals. So this is siya muna sometimes freedom is not only sometimes that freedom becomes destructive because we do believe that we have this absolute freedom, but without knowing that we are just immature in handling it. Lastly is authentic freedom. It is exercised by a person who believes that it is God who gives him freedom. This is the authentic freedom. So since freedom comes from God, so it must be good. Freedom is founded in good because it comes from God. Lastly, maybe you might ask, kung free ko, nganong na may law, why am I being chained sa mga laws? Remember that there is no freedom apart from the law. Laws are meant to regulate, guide, and control man's exercise of freedom. Na nga, para ma-discipline ta sa tuang freedom, nga dili lang kay mabuhat na doon sa tuang gusto, mupatay ba sa manumbag tagalit diya, because I have freedom, so na diya, mo nang nailos para ma-regulate, mag-guide, ma-control ta in exercising our freedom. So this is the koan, this is the final line of my discussion about freedom. That understand your freedom. It is a gift. So do not exploit it. Muna nga di pasabot freedom, di pasabot nga mabot na sa atong gusto tanan. But we are being guided. We are being guided. I hope that you understand. You can from this discussion. Try to reflect and understand it, because this is a philosophy class. This is a philosophical understanding about life. So understand your human condition and understand your freedom and understand how to live an authentic existence, an authentic life through your freedom. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for investing your time in this discussion. So good luck and always live life to the fullest. Thank you.